Hi, I'm John, and this is Dice Paper Miniatures Live Clips. These are segments pulled from my Twitch live streams. This is a way for me to cross-promote both my YouTube recorded content as well as my Twitch live streams. The kind of content you'll see on the live clips focuses on, well, the material I have over on Twitch live stream, but in bite-sized segments. Everything from miniature painting to hobby reviews and discussions, unboxings, and various industry news. It would be awesome if you could click that subscribe and notification bell for future content updates, as well as share this content. All of this helps with the YouTube algorithm. In addition to helping the YouTube channel here, it also helps bring awareness to the Twitch livestream, which is typically at least once a week, if not multiple times a week. The schedule is a work in progress, so it definitely helps to follow me on Twitch so you don't miss any of those live streams there. But if you do, that's what the live clips are for here on YouTube. And lastly, before we get into the content here for the live clip, please consider checking out the merch store over on Teespring, where I have things like t-shirts, mugs, stickers, banners, and now face masks, which are perfect for respecting the space of your fellow gamers at your local game store. Furthermore, some of these live clips I do reserve for my Patreon page, which if you haven't checked that out, I definitely encourage you to check out the Patreon, as that is just another way to help support the channel, which helps creating the content that you see here. Thank you so much. Now here is today's live clip. Well, good evening. How's everyone doing tonight? It's Monday. Hopefully, if you can hear me, just make a note of it in the comments. That would be awesome. Looks like I have a few new viewers. Thanks for joining me tonight. And it sounds like I think I'm hearing everyone all right. Cool. All right, so tonight I had to kind of set up my situation here a little bit differently. Normally I'm trying to paint while I'm streaming, or I try to. Or if I review a new game or something else, it doesn't quite take up all this space. But as you can see here, it goes off my, I guess you could say, painting window. This over to my right, I really can't move too well, so it's kind of in the frame. And then this area over here is usually where I have a palette. But when I start unboxing this, you can see some of those elements off on this camera right here. But in the meantime, perfect, cool. People can hear me, awesome. Yeah, so it's Monday. Actually, this officially came out on Saturday. I was going to review it then, but some things came up and I couldn't do it over the weekend, so we're doing it tonight. A lot of you have probably seen there were some early release copies to the special or cool kids in the Warhammer 40K community that have already done some reviews of this. In fact, some have already painted some of the models from this box set, but that's okay. You know, this is my chance to really get a good first impression, and people that follow me here on Twitch. This also came in, I want to say a week early, or at least a few days early, at my local game store. And I tried not to look at everything, so I really wanted to capture my first impression on camera. But I won't lie, I saw a few of the sprues, but I tried not to look at them too close. Anyways, all right, so for those that are not familiar with this, I'm assuming at this point you would be, but Warhammer 40K is a game by Games Workshop. This is their new, technically their 9th edition, and this new box set called Indomitus, which you'll be able to see the name of it when I get the lid off, is the first release for this new edition. So let me get this off here. And like I said, this is on the front of the box, Indomitus. In fact, I may try to put that back into the frame off to the side in a minute. But a pretty cool box. The first thing at the top of the box you get this piece of artwork, which is pretty cool. The idea is these are kind of put in here. One, you could frame them, but they also kind of add a little bit of cushion from the sprues hitting the underside of the box lid and damaging the box lid. It looks like it's double-sided, but yeah, it's the same image. It's pretty cool, though. All right. So this is what comes in the box. So let me go ahead and push this off a little bit to the side, and we can kind of see in that other camera, which is normally my palette camera. But we can kind of get an idea here of what's going on. In fact, I may turn this just a little differently. Cool. Try not to let my OCD get the best of me here. But so the game comes with two factions. It comes with, or two armies. It comes with the Primaris Space Marines, or Primaris Adeptus Astartes. Most players refer to them still as Space Marines, but officially they're called Adeptus Astartes. And the sprue should be in focus relatively well, but all of these come unpainted, of course. They come on the sprue. These are the new bikes, basically the bikes that are used for the Space Marines. And then the details on these are really pretty sweet. These are the Primaris themselves. I'm actually going to zoom this camera in so I can kind of bring it up closer to the camera. 1 second. We'll see if that helps. Perfect. Okay. So let me go back to the bikes just briefly. It's kind of hard to make out completely what these look like without being painted and assembled, but these are really chunky, I'd say chunky bikes. They got really thick tires on the front and back. They sit pretty low to the ground, which people, when these were being the sneak preview of these are spoiled online. A lot of people kind of joked about the lack of ground clearance, but they're really sweet looking models, and the detail is pretty incredible. So now going back to the Primaris, these are the new tactical squad, if you will. So they come with chain swords, which are used in hand-to-hand combat. A lot of them have these pistols. Again, maybe a little difficult to see without familiarity with this game, how these come together, but they all come on the sprue. You got to clip them off the sprue, and they come with a variety of different, look like a few different options as far as the helmets go. But when we get to the actual instruction sheets, we'll see just how many human heads versus Space Marine helmets. Let's see if, yeah, that's coming in pretty good. Okay. I have a lot of different monitors, but the most clear ones to look at are way off to my side. So if you wonder why I keep looking to my left, that's why. So that was one of the Space Marines. It looks like this is a combination sprue where we have the other army called the Necron on this side. Yeah, that looks like it's clear. Cool. The Necrons, and then we have the Space Marines over here. A lot of these newer sculpts that came, like all the sculpts in this box that are basically new, but the Space Marines in particular are a little bit more ornate in this release. So they have shields that are very ornate with seals, iconography, things like that. Pretty cool stuff. And then the Necrons are all new too. The Necrons used to have their laser cannons or laser guns or rifles, if you will. Used to have like a clear or translucent green sprue piece that would kind of snap into the gun. Almost, I always joked about it looking like a Lego set. They've got rid of that design philosophy, and so it's just a standard sprue where everything is in the plastic. It's not multiple colored plastics that you're trying to use. But kind of a similar thing. Another Space Marine shared with another Necron. These are different sculpts, of course. These sprues that have like one of each tend to be like the commanders or veterans or sergeants or lieutenants. And then, to be honest, I haven't played Necrons in a long time, or played against Necrons in a while. I can't remember the name of the different classes for the Necrons. It's all in the rules, of course, that do come in the box. But again, it looks like for the Space Marine character, you get a human head, you get a fully helmeted head with the visor down, and then you get another helmeted head with the visor up. So those are some really cool options. Definitely, I don't know when I'll get these painted, but you know, they're definitely cool. So another sprue of what looks like the tactical Primaris Marines. I think that's the official name. That was the name before when they used it for these types of Marines. I can't remember. I'll find out when we look at the book if they're still called Tactical Adeptus Astartes, but really cool sculpts. And even these are a little bit more ornate than the previous release of the Primaris Marines, which I really like. That was a thing in 8th edition when Primaris Marines were first introduced. While I thought the sculpts on those were really well done, they were kind of bland. They didn't have a lot of the iconography, and a lot of the old school players kind of complained about that. Like, visually, the Primaris are a little bit bigger. Some people will call them true scale Marines, but they actually have, anyone that plays 40k knows this, but they actually have a different rule set than the old Space Marines, the first generation Space Marines. But that being said, the first generation Space Marines have been around for years and years, so there was a lot of personality and character to the models, the sculpts, etc., that made them look a little bit more cooler on the tabletop. And so while the Primaris Marines were to the right scale, if you will, and some of their design like aesthetics were really cool, they were kind of bland. But these have a lot more character and a lot more personality, so that's cool. This whole sprue is all Necron, it looks like, and these new Necron sculpts are awesome. Looks like I have a few people joining me tonight. Thanks again. I see some new faces. I appreciate that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat too. For the most part, at least for this evening, I'm just going to kind of do a first impression review of the contents of the Indomitus box set from Warhammer 40k. And then, depending on how long this goes, I may pause the stream for just a little bit, change up my setup. And I've been working on this Blood Bowl team for about 3 weeks now, painting just a little bit every week. And I went ahead and I reinstalled the online version of the game on Steam. I have that running now, and I basically built the team more or less that I'm painting right now. I've built that on Steam. And so I might play that team online and, you know, follow along, or if you have Blood Bowl and you want to play a game online. I haven't played against an actual player online in quite a while, so that may be a little awkward at first, but if you want to sit and chat and watch me play or see how Blood Bowl, the rules of Blood Bowl work, you can see how that works on Steam. But that will be later tonight, maybe. There's just so many sprues in this box set. So again, this is more, just to kind of put it in perspective, this is like a full-size sprue. And these are all new Necron models. Tons of detail. Super cool. Hopefully that, it looks like it's coming through pretty good. So that's good. All right. Yeah. I don't play Necrons per se, but I think I'll enjoy putting these sprues together for sure. Put that off to the side here. Looks like we have some more Necrons. These are, I believe, Necron warriors. They're kind of like the foot soldiers of the Necron army. But yeah, these sculpts haven't changed too much from the original warriors, but again, they have their weapons are all one piece of plastic versus trying to put that clear green piece for the barrels in there. I really prefer these sculpts more because of that. It was kind of a little bit, on paper it sounded like a good idea what they did before, but this time around it was a little, I think this is better, because on paper it sounded great, but in practice it was wonky. Because you paint your models anyway, so you end up likely painting over that green clear piece, so why even make it green and clear? These are more character models for the Space Marines. See if I... Yeah, okay. These are super cool. So we got what's called the Blade Guard veterans. The guys with the shields are the Blade Guard. They're more of a personality unit, if you will, or specialty unit. And then we have what's called a chaplain over here. And it looks like there's another specialty model called a Judicar. And the Judicar, you can see its pieces are right here on the sprue. I was joking around when this thing was previewed online. It's got like a skull with a face mask, but the face mask looks kind of like a COVID thing. So I joked about this being the COVID Space Marine, but GW's kind of got a lot of flack for this design. Like, I like the look of this masked skull, if you will, but I don't know if it necessarily fits the model well. And I've seen a lot of other reviewers, when they started to build the Judicar, they replaced the head with a different model, like just a normal hooded Space Marine, which I thought looked better. But yeah, these sculpts are fantastic. It looks like I have one more sprue left. Yeah, these are just some more Necrons, of course, so hopefully these are in focus pretty good. Looks like it's all right. Yeah, these are really cool. Okay, so let's see what else do we have in here. Again, for those that are joining me tonight, thanks so much. I appreciate it. This looks like the same type of art. Yeah, it's the same type of box insert we saw before. Again, these are just kind of used. Some people like to frame these, but they're mostly just used to keep the sprues from like dinging up everything else inside. Alright, so what do we got here? Oh, cool little, another little piece of art. So, Necron, Adeptus Astartes, or Space Marine. And, oh cool, so you can get kind of a discount or special edition hardback. Okay. It's a little promotional piece, but you could frame this as well, so that's pretty cool. Just to kind of show how this all fits in here. It's a little difficult, but there's like an insert that keeps the components from sliding around. So yeah, that's kind of neat. Kind of, well, as a graphic designer by trade, I kind of appreciate seeing how folks design these the packaging, and pretty well done. So this is cool. This this might, usually these things are shrink wrapped. In my experience, the fact they're kind of in a reusable sleeve, it sounds like a simple, obvious touch, but that's pretty nice. So this is, I'm gonna go ahead and open this real quick. Next game night, yeah. As long as you don't mind playing with unpainted models, sure. So, anyways, this is the instruction book to put together both the Adeptus Astartes and the Necrons. So these are all the models that are included in this box set, which is pretty cool. And then on the back, they kind of show you some of the more, just kind of a close-up of some of the personality models, how they're painted, how you could paint these. If you're not familiar with the game, the Space Marines are divided up into chapters. So kind of the generic chapter, if you will, are the Ultramarines, also known as Smurfs, but they're typically painted in blue with kind of an Omega icon. That's for Ultramarines. It's like an Omega icon upside down. But yeah, this is really cool. So I won't go too far into detail, but you get the general idea. They mark out the sprue, the number, and then they tell you the quantity of what sprue should be in here. They also go over the bases and how many of those bases you should have. It also goes over the decals that apparently are in here somewhere. And then, yeah, they kind of give you an idea of what A, B, C, and D, what different painting schemes that kind of coordinate to the different decals that come in the box. So that's pretty... This stuff is helpful. It used to be back in the day, a lot of this stuff was like either a single sheet or just a folded sheet, and it was in black and white. And they definitely, the production quality of this is pretty solid. So again, this used to be like in shades of gray, but now it's kind of color coded, and that's really helpful. They have in blue variant assemblies, then they have in this kind of yellow choice of parts, and then repeated process in red, like how many different of the same pieces you have, and then like the green is like the completed like stage, if you will. And then they go into the different heads. So like in this example, like we saw previously, there's like the human head, the fully helmeted head, and then like the helmet with the visor lifted up. Pretty standard protocol for everything else. Again, just more of the same with how these can be assembled, color variations. And then the motorcycle variants, of course. Try to make sure that stays in frame. Cool. All right. And then you get the idea of like the completed version. So yeah, even though these are super detailed and there's a lot of little pieces, these it's not impossible to put it together wrong, but it's kind of hard to do it wrong if you follow the instructions, you know, one at a time. That being said, I saw a few people on YouTube talk about some of the Necrons were a little tricky to put together, but you know, unless you just coated them with plastic glue where they really fuse together, it's not too hard to fix any accidental assembly errors. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. Again, just kind of making sure. Not going to spend too much time on every particular unit, but this kind of gives you an idea of what all those pieces on the sprue, what they assemble into. And then you can see here like the full, this is like the Necron warriors when they're fully assembled. But yeah, pretty cool. So that was the instruction book. And then the Edge of Silence, I believe this is just, yeah, these are all the, a little bit of information about the game itself, a little bit of lore, if you will. So it's kind of a little introduction into the setting that this particular box set is taking place in. It also gives you, so both for the Space Marines as well as for the Necrons. It looks like the Necrons are kind of highlighted first, and then they go into highlighting the Space Marines. And again, the production quality from the layout's really cool. The art looks like it's really well done. Being an art director as well, I really appreciate this. And yeah, then they kind of just go into more of the story, and then I believe they get into actually the stat cards. I'm gonna get to that here in a second. Yeah, briefly before I get into the stats, they have a fully painted layout of all the different models that come in the game, and then they're numbered as well, so that's really helpful. But just to kind of capture that. That's pretty cool. And then we'll skip ahead here, and they do the same thing with the Space Marines. They actually say Space Marines. I'm kind of surprised they don't say Adeptus Astartes. I mean, everyone knows them as Space Marines, but if you knew the history of this game, that was kind of a legal thing. They had some legal battles on that name, and that's why they changed it to Adeptus Astartes, because they could actually trademark that. I believe trademark or copyright. One of the two, maybe both. Alright, so yeah, it looks like the following pages in this book. It's kind of a quick reference guide to the stats of the individual characters. So that's pretty cool. Hopefully this... I'm not like violating some rule here by showing this online. I'm trying to be not too quick, but not so long that you could probably screen capture it, I guess. Oops. In any event, just again, all the stats for the different models. And what's really cool is they're painted, so you can clearly see what this model is supposed to be with this stat card. And yeah, really well done little reference guide. Now arguably, aside from the models, where the rest of your money went to. This thing was like $200. This game. So you get this hardbound, really cool looking rule book, but it's hardbound. This is how thick it is. It's a pretty thick book. So you're talking about the next game night. Yeah. You might need a few nights to get the rules down, just for reading purposes. I'm not going to go through this whole book, but super table of contents, so pretty intense book. Let's see if... Yeah, we'll do that. That's still kind of in focus. Okay, so it's heavily illustrated. That's really cool. These are some of the different armies in the game. So even though this box set contains 2 armies, if you have an existing army, like in this case there's the Eldar, or there's the Death Guard, which is a Chaos Space Marine army, they have examples of that. They go into the how to build and paint in this book, and then they of course are going to promote, you know, their line of paints and things like that. Makes sense. Of course, I appreciate them trying to convince women that this is a game that's equally for them as well, since historically it's a bunch of nerdy guys playing this game. So yeah, it's for everyone. Oh, this is cool. Looks like it's got a fold out. That's really awesome. Looks like this folds out too. I actually don't want to mess this up if I can help it. So let me do that. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, for sure. Hopefully that's not dog-earing anything. But you get the idea. I'm just going to kind of flip through this here. I heard there was a lot of art in this book, and yeah, it's super cool. All the different... So not only are there the rules to play the game, all the missions are also in this book, so that's really helpful, and there's a ton of missions. So you can follow the setup based on the missions in the book, or I'm assuming, you know, you can always set up a different mission that you create. And as long as you and your friend agree to it, you could probably do that, but it's just easier to follow one of the missions in the book for just setting up a game. Again, more... Lots of colored, painted armies to make you feel really bad about yourself not having yours painted. Yeah, it's super cool. They go into all the different phases of the game, of course. Yeah, all the rules. There's a supplement you can buy called Chapter Approved. I didn't get the supplement yet. There's also a new app that you can run on your phone that's supposed to kind of help keep things organized, and I have to carry so much, like as far as physical rules go. You can just reference it on your phone. The app is out. I heard it might be a little buggy at the moment, but you know, it'll get better. I mean, that's just the nature of technology. So that, you know, that's gonna rub some people wrong, but that's just life. So I believe it's like $5 a month for that subscription to that app service. It's probably worth it if you're a diehard 40K fan. I would definitely consider getting the app. I know if this were my primary game, I wouldn't think twice about getting it. The Chapter Approved physical book, though, I think most of that content is in the app, but if you're old school or you just like to have that physical content, there's no reason not to get that Chapter Approved book. So, yeah. Then I mentioned like the chapters of the Space Marines, so they give you a bunch of different chapter options that you could use to help you decide how you want to paint your army. So that's cool. Again, they actually give it the official name at the start of this chapter, Adeptus Astartes. But again, everyone calls them Space Marines. Yeah, very cool. Very cool. I'll definitely be going through this again just to appreciate the art. So that's the rule book. Really excited to get a chance to look at that further. And then lastly, here is that decal, or I think they call them decals, which is the funniest thing. Tomato, tomato, but I believe in some countries they actually call decals decals, which, okay. And then, yeah, the rest of this box, this is the bottom of the insert, and there's basically just the bases for the miniatures are under these two, well, this section and this section has all the bases hidden away. Just to kind of give you an idea, there's some bases. Might be kind of hard to see in the frame there, but and then this side, this is also where they kind of hide away some of those bases. There's a lot of components to this box, but I think overall, as far as the pricing goes, I mean, it's a GW product. Some people, you know, admittedly it's a little pricey, but the quality of everything, I think, is it's like the best in the industry. And yeah, the value for everything you get in this box, I think it was worth it. So that's probably it for this. Is a relatively short stream. I wasn't sure how long it would take to go over the box, you know, kind of first impressions. Overall, on a scale of like 1 to 10, I'd probably give this, honestly, like 8, 9, arguably even a 10, but somewhere around 8 or 9. I think the value of what you get is really solid. Price is maybe a little high, but again, for what you get, I think it's worth it. You do get a really nice rule book, that hardbound rule book. It's kind of hard to you know, beat that. I think this alone in the store is, shoot, I have to look online, but I think it's around like 50 or 60 bucks just by itself. And then the sprues. Now they announced today there's going to be starter boxes. This technically isn't a starter box, which is kind of confusing terminology. A lot of people would call this a starter box, and it kind of is, because it helps you get started with this. You can start with this. It has the rules, it has armies, it has kind of everything you need to play. But official starter boxes, those come out. This is more of a collector's box. Those come out soon. They announced it online today. In fact, when I transition over and do the before I play Blood Bowl later tonight, I might go over a few of the new announcements they had recently for 40K. but they have 3 new versions of the starter sets, kind of like a small, medium, and large. But there's no veteran Blade Guard Space Marine models in those starter boxes. Apparently, they're just not putting those in there for the starter sets because they're doing a unique release for those that are just multi-part Blade Guard veterans. So if you want to get Blade Guard right now, this is pretty much the only way you can get them, but in time they will have a separate box set for the Blade Guard, but they'll be slightly different. They'll be posed in a different way, but you know, whatever. But yeah, so tell Henry that I'm also I need to learn how to play too. So technically I didn't play an 8th. I haven't played, I think the last edition I played was either 3rd or maybe a little bit of 5th edition. So I've skipped quite a few editions. When 8th came out, I got into like the skirmish version of 40K called Kill Team. Now I don't know what's going to happen with Kill Team right now, because this new 9th edition has a skirmish, they call, I believe, like a patrol version. So it's taking the large, like using all the models and just using a few for a skirmish version, which sounds very similar to Kill Team. I know there's some differences, but if they don't do any more support for Kill Team, then I'm definitely going to be playing 9th edition. But that was why I didn't play much of the 8th edition, was because I was playing Kill Team. In any event, so yeah, maybe Henry and I can learn together. But yeah, it's going to be a while because I want to get some of these other projects for Blood Bowl off my plate, and then I'll probably jump into the rules for this. Again, there's some other things I want to talk about even before I get into Blood Bowl tonight. There's other game workshop games aside from 40K, aside from Blood Bowl, that I also like from Games Workshop, and they had a bunch of announcements over the weekend as well as today, so I'm going to kind of go over those a little bit later, but I'll have to switch up my setup here. So that stream will probably happen in about 20 to 30 minutes from now. So for those that joined me tonight, thank you so much, and I'll be back on here in a little bit, but that's it for now. I hope everyone's doing okay, be safe, and if I don't see you later, have a great night. Thanks again. Bye-bye.